Listen, I absolutely love video games, just not this one. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is one of the most miserable experiences that I've had playing a game in a pretty long time, and I beat Mind's Eye this year. It is an actual joke in just how bare bones, useless, and ill thought and designed it is. And to just quickly summarize how bad it is before we get into details, the only saving grace that the game has, at least in its campaign, is that it's co-op. Now, the developers over at Raven and Treyarch have been touting in the marketing campaign that it has an innovative co-op campaign, which, I mean, it is kind of innovative to decide that a campaign shouldn't exist and instead you should have some loosely connected cutscenes tying together what are essentially really bad co-op missions without much effort really put into them. Run around the Warzone map and shoot enemies on your way to an objective, then get transported into a map that is a combination of a bunch of different multiplayer maps that you run around and shoot enemies in. It is a whole new bar in reusing assets and reusing maps that you already have and telling people that you made a campaign, and in that sense, very innovative. However, the fact that it is co-op means that there is fun to be had here, but not because of the game, because you can play it with your friends. There's very few things in life that don't improve when you do them with friends. Being able to play a game with friends is basically a cheat code to make it passable. However, I played the campaign alone, and it made me reconsider my life. One of the saving graces, though, much shorter than Mind's Eye. I appreciated that. It ended faster. And I'm not gonna cover zombies in this video because I'm not a zombies guy, but I will talk about the multiplayer, and let me tell you something. It's a Call of Duty multiplayer mode. And look, I have some pretty strange tastes when it comes to Call of Duty multiplayer. I'll admit it that I frequently like the ones that other people don't. So hey, maybe I'm crazy. But even by my standards, I'm starting to miss Cold War and Vanguard, which I actually did appreciate when those existed, by the way. This isn't like some revisionist history. I like those more than this. I like quite a lot of the recent Call of Duty multiplayer games more than this one. And that's because there's some design decisions that make it very different to a lot of the other ones. It's a lot more closed quarters, it's faster moving in general, and it's got a lot of dumb BS running around the map at pretty much all times. But just in general, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is not a good Call of Duty. I do not like it, I do not recommend it. It is very bad for many different reasons, and some of those reasons do include the fact that your reward for actually playing through this horrendous campaign is a bunch of calling cards generated by artificial intelligence, and not even a good one. It is a low-effort cash grab that has seen itself recognized by being the worst performing game on Steam at least, and while we will never know the digital sales numbers, we do know some of the physical sales numbers, and specifically in the UK, it's down 61% over last year's Call of Duty, and well below the results of Battlefield 6. So I'm willing to say that this year's Call of Duty, one of the worst ones in a while, and considering that they put the Black Ops name on it, the prestigious best-selling Black Ops name, they're in trouble, and they deserve it. I think the Call of Duty train has taken a pretty strong hit with this one. Marketing didn't go as planned, and I'm not expecting word of mouth to be very good. Overall though, just very bad. And I'm gonna tell you why in a lot of detail because I need to share my suffering. Before we do that though, hi, I'm Mug, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. It's great to see you. You're looking fantastic. If you like the video at any point, hit the like button because that helps the video spread. And if you really like the video, maybe consider subscribing. Don't do it right now. Wait a bit. Make sure that what I do is worth your time, and then you can hit the big shiny red button. Let's get into it. We're starting off with the campaign because it's the most painful part of the game. Call of Duty campaigns historically are very hit or miss, not just on the campaigns themselves, but on if people care. And I am one of those people that care. I find them very enjoyable. A 4-hour or maybe a bit longer roller coaster ride of stupid action or attempts at espionage and things like that. Frequently, they look very cool and they have some nice set pieces. They can be very visually impressive and they are dumb fun. They are popcorn roller coasters, but they are perfectly acceptable ones. To the point that they keep you engaged. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's this little slice of life that I look forward to every year. Now, certain Call of Duties, like Modern Warfare 3, just said, well, why have a good campaign when we can just not? And they have done so again. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 features an always online, always co-op campaign that is kind of a combination of a lot of the history of the Black Ops series, to the point that even if you've played through all of them, you'll probably still be kind of lost as to who is here and what they are even doing, all covered in an excessively crass and stupid sense of humor that Black Ops has.
Look, man, we still don't know dick about what's happening to us. But
not in a way that feels self-aware and in a territory that now veers directly straight into whatever you think is the worst Fast and Furious movie. But the game seems to take itself quite seriously, at least in the campaign, to the point that it feels self-referential and self-reverential. It has this really high opinion of its story and lore and characters while doing absolutely nothing with them, and boring you to tears when it comes to actually playing the game. Now let me reiterate, very important, always online. When you start up the campaign, you're essentially in the same structure as the multiplayer lobby, and you have to pick the mission you want, and by clicking on it again or selecting it again, you actually start it up. You can play the game alone if you set squad fill off, but you do need to connect to the internet in order to play the campaign. This means that when I was in the very first mission, I believe, and I received the package and I had to get up and wait for the guy to appear and actually decide to come to my door, I must have left my PC for anywhere around 5 to 10 minutes. So when I came back, I had been kicked for inactivity from my single player lobby of the single player campaign. Even if you are completely alone, you cannot play this game offline as far as I'm aware. I also experienced this wonderful thing where I would get messages that people had entered my game and left. I don't know where they were, but they were there, despite, again, not having squad fill on and not really wanting anybody to join my game. But that's not how this campaign is designed. It is actually so stupid that there is tons of comments in the game because you're meant to be playing as a squad of 4 different characters, and they banter and talk to each other about the objectives and what you're supposed to do and when. But if you're just playing alone, they're giving directions to nobody. Like, your character will yell out, "Somebody go do this," but there's nobody there. There's no other players. But the game is designed to always work with the idea of these 4 character slots being filled out. My breaking point, not with the game, but as a human, I think, was when in a later mission, about 35 minutes into the mission, more or less, my internet cut out for about 30 seconds, but because my internet cut out, the single player campaign, in this case single player because again, I am playing alone, started to lag and disconnected me. Kicked me out of the match, forced me to restart the game, and then restart the whole mission. This is, indeed, a miserable experience. But don't worry, even when the game deems it acceptable for you to play the campaign, there's nothing of value in it. The whole premise of it is that you've been drugged with some toxic thing which is making you relive your memories. Basically going down memory lane of a lot of Black Ops, specifically around David Mason, Alex Mason, Woods, and a lot of the characters that are here. Jumping between the different protagonists in order to have an excuse to go down iconic moments of the Black Ops franchise. Also, a great opportunity to reuse a bunch of iconic maps and locations. I would ask what came first, the idea of reusing a bunch of locations because they were doing them anyway for the multiplayer, or that the campaign was started from the beginning as just being a retread. Basically the equivalent of a clip show running out of material for the new season. But I think that question's not worth asking because it's pretty obvious which one it was. The majority of the campaign fluctuates between 2 different things. Structured missions in which you run down an environment normally composed of different multiplayer maps kind of stitched together while gunning down a bunch of enemies and watching their health bar slowly tick down as you hold the fire button. Then that is alternated with another mission set in the open world of Avalon, which is the Warzone map, basically. And you get to run around everywhere using your stupid wingsuit and your new abilities that allow you to super jump or a grappling hook or stuff like that in order to move around this open world and reach your next objective to trigger your next actual structured mission. Meanwhile, these are punctuated with boss fights that are frequently not good, and the whole thing kind of feels like a fever dream that often combines a lot of elements from zombies and weird spider creatures and more kind of nightmarish scenarios with high-tech future espionage and the robot kind and tons of drones and stuff like that. While never really feeling like it has any sort of vision or cohesion to it, this is not Call of Duty Cold War. This isn't even the Modern Warfare 1 and 2. This is just, it's whatever. The only level that has any sort of visual spectacle or really anything unique to it like a traditional Call of Duty campaign is the last level in the entire campaign. And even then, it's not really that good. And of course, you might as well finish the whole level to be greeted with the ending cinematic just to have it interrupted by voice chat of Saggy Jugs over here talking about how his mom won't let him play the Xbox. Isn't this just a wonderful experience? At the very minimum, you could say that the game looks good. At the end of the day, Call of Duty always tries to be the biggest and the best when it comes to their graphics, but that's not the case here, and it's not even because of the tech behind it. If we just look at Avalon, the Warzone map, and we switch over to third person, which is something you can do for the entire campaign, by the way, if you wanted the game to look a bit more like a PS2 game. It's just bland and boring and uninteresting, and it doesn't have to do with graphical prowess. It has everything to do with style. It is just incredibly drab, even when compared to previous installments in the series. Well, but is playing through this retread at least fun? Absolutely not. The game is kind of designed to feel like an extraction shooter in order to put you out into the endgame, which is kind of an extraction shooter. It's a permanently repeatable campaign endgame in which you do a bunch of missions and you level up and get better gear and complete your challenges. And on your path to that endgame, as you keep going, you level up your weapons in order to have them do more damage and have more attachments. You level up your health and your armor plates and your speed as you defeat some of the bosses, but what you are doing is running down certain maps and then taking down tons of enemies. Bullet sponge enemies that you just shoot an endless amount of ammo, kill streaks, and whatever you want into them. I cannot confirm if it scales well to 4 players or if the inane amount of shooting brain-dead enemies whose AI is basically non-existent is something that is worse if you play it completely alone, and I would go deeper into just how bad the overall combat is and how it's boring and stupid, but I think you've been seeing plenty of examples on screen so far of just how dumb, how absolutely brain-dead. The gameplay here is borderline catatonic. Similar to my complaint earlier this year with Mind's Eye, this isn't a game that you play, it's a game that happens to you. You just go where the arrow is and hold down the button to shoot the people, and then that's kind of it. There is no reason to have any sort of skill expression. It's not like using certain abilities or certain weapons or certain anything is gonna yield better results. All you're really doing is just shoot the head of the thing. And even the boss fights that are meant to be challenging in some capacity or have some sort of design that you're supposed to follow, dodge this, move over here, collect this thing, trigger this thing, they never really matter. I don't know if it's fear of making players sad that they lost, but the mechanics that bosses have never really kill you in any way. They're not really a threat at all. So you just mindlessly shoot at them and eat whatever the mechanic is, and then when you get to a third of their health bar, they spawn in a bunch of stupid random enemies that you've been fighting the whole time, and you kill them, and then you hit the boss again, and then it's over. Again, catatonic. There is basically nothing of value that is happening here. There is nothing for you to actually enjoy. Sure, it's functional. You can play the game, and of course, if you play it as a lobby in which you hang out with friends and talk about your day and how things are going, and meanwhile you shoot brain dead enemies and the little numbers go up and you kind of level up your weapons or unlock some camos for then using in multiplayer or eventually in a war zone. Sure, it's nice filler content or something, but I don't come to filler content, and my life isn't one that I want to be filled with filler content. I want to invest my time into things that actively make me happy, not actively make me wonder if I am alive. And that is what this campaign is. It is soulless, almost as soulless as those AI calling card rewards you get. And I do want to mention it briefly. I'm not gonna start harping about AI for half an hour here. There's many ways to look at AI, and in many ways it is inevitable. It's gonna end up being a tool that is used in most games, whether they want to tell us or not. Isn't that fun? We are regressing back into the age of disclosure. And Call of Duty, at least obeying Steam's guidelines, does say, hey, AI was used when making this game. How? Who knows? Except, it's pretty obvious. And I'm not here to draw the line between good use of AI and bad use of AI, because while I do think there are conversations to be had, whether we want to or not. What I can tell you is that just going to ChatGPT and asking it to do the Studio Ghibli style that was seen all over the internet and then color correcting the piss yellow filter off of it is the bottom of the barrel use of AI. Of all of the scummy ways to use AI, this is also the one that I feel is the most insulting to the customer. They had ways of using AI that they could have maybe even gotten away with. They have thousands upon thousands of calling cards and art from all of the Call of Duties. They could train their own AI on their own assets and then try and make something. But they just used the most basic, boring, and obvious AI they could find, and they expect us to clap? They expect us to feel rewarded when we see that? As, hey, you did the campaign real good. Come on. It is genuinely insulting. Almost as insulting as Eurogamer's 3-star review of Black Ops 7, but it's 2-star review of Arc Raiders. Almost as insulting as that. But, I guess accountability is dead. But all right, it's terrible. It's shameful. It's almost insulting. So how's the multiplayer? I mean, it's not that much better. I always look forward to Call of Duty multiplayers. It's something I do. Last year I skipped talking about it, but I still played it. And, the first year that I was here on YouTube, I actually put up a full review of that year's Call of Duty because while it doesn't really mesh with a lot of what I do on the channel, I do just like playing it. There is part of me that likes turning my brain off or choosing how engaged I want to be in the game and playing it. The one good thing that this Call of Duty has over every other is that they have finally listened to the community and allowed there to be a mode, quick play, that doesn't take skill-based matchmaking as much into account. We don't know how much. Not only does this mean that there is a lot larger of a skill disparity in a lot of matches, meaning that you can actually dominate matches or be dominated, and not this artificial way where it feels like the game is manipulating where it's throwing you into. Not just that, but there are persistent lobbies again. Multiple matches with the same lobby and actually build rivalries and kind of hunt out certain players in a way that I don't remember feeling since Xbox 360, early PS4 days, and that is really fun. And getting to actually just destroy a lobby again is really fun. And also being humbled and being the destroyed one and trying to, kind of rise up to the challenge and take down whoever's on the enemy team that's dominating the most and stuff like that. All of that dynamic is back, and it's, to me, an integral part of Call of Duty that has been missing for a very long time. People have been asking for. And Activision has pulled, kind of a Blizzard move of you think you want it, but you actually don't. But turns out we do, and it's good. That is cool. But I just wish that we're here in a kind of better game. A lot of the emphasis in multiplayer is placed onto gadgets and skills that you have, placing down certain things and upgrading them, and whatever your lethal and your tactical are, stuff like that. And a lot of the weapons here feel pretty good. The feedback is on point, feels very much like a Treyarch game. Time to kill is a bit shorter than usual. Unlocks and progression is pretty decent, although I don't find it as impactful as it has been before. I feel like we've lost a bit of the balance of, yes, leveling up a weapon and using it should feel kind of overpowered at points and not overpowered at others, and there's something that's just a little bit off there. But a lot of what makes the game overall kind of not that enjoyable isn't the being able to be steamrolled or not again. That's kind of always been there, even with the harsh skill-based matchmaking. I still think that overall it feels very good. I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm about to say. A lot of the maps devolve into complete chaos very quickly, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are very closed off maps. A lot of classics return, but with the addition of the wall jump and a little bit of the added mobility that is in this game, plus all of the weird sending out drones and pinpoint grenades and all of these different things. But when you combine that with score streaking, and you also combine that with some of the score streaks that you can actually use being incredibly oppressive. Yeah, sometimes it's not even about getting shut down. I've had many matches that my team has ended up winning because I only play objective game modes, but for a good solid 2 minutes, it's almost unplayable, but not in the, oh, I just keep dying way, just in a, like, this is like overstimulating. There's just way too much chaos happening, where I feel like previous games in the series, it was kind of a controlled chaos. It was a more predictable chaos. And speaking of predictability, once again, another Call of Duty launches and the respawns in Hardpoint are completely broken, and you will have people spawn directly in front of you and directly behind you. On large maps, by the way. But it is another year with another Call of Duty that I think in this case is functional. It's perfectly fine. And if you are addicted to Call of Duty, it's there, but there's really, in my opinion, nothing noteworthy about this release. Just like there really wasn't, in my opinion, with Black Ops 6 or Modern Warfare 3. I think Modern Warfare 3 was like better, but it's been a while since we've had an actual like really fun Call of Duty, in my opinion. That has been compensated before by the fact that, you know, zombies might be good. I've tried, can't get into it, but at the very minimum, there was a really good campaign to follow. Now, that is also gone. And so what you have is a milquetoast multiplayer with a downright offensive campaign for $80 that 4,000 people that are making these games every year couldn't make work enough and couldn't have enough artists on board to not use generative AI to fill in the gap. It feels rushed, it feels boring, it feels badly designed, like it doesn't have a real purpose beyond forcing people to be online. Because once again, gotta milk them for everything they're worth, and it's not like the studies show that people prefer single-player games. I find this Call of Duty to just be the worst that we've had in a pretty long time, and I'm normally quite positive on, and I ask people to, you know, reevaluate and consider that these games do actually bring a lot of value. I'm not defending their absolutely horrendous microtransactions and how they want to shove extra purchases down your throat, but I do believe that most of the time Call of Duty is one of the safest purchases of the year if you like those games. You're going to get a ton of multiplayer content, you're going to get a solid campaign, you're going to get zombies or whatever else it is, and you're getting guaranteed extra content down the line for those principal modes that don't cost a dime. They're just going to add maps and add weapons and add stuff into the game for the course of the next year, and I think that justifies their price pretty damn well. Even if you have to ignore all of the other ways that they want you to spend money on the game that exist, I still think that the base is solid. And this is the first time in a pretty long time that I have to say I just don't think that's the case because the campaign is non-existent. I don't vibe with the zombies. There's experts for that, and I think the multiplayer is fine. And I just feel like I want to go play a better game. I want to go play Arc Raiders. I would rather go play Battlefield 6. I would rather go play Trails in the Sky First Chapter right now, because that sounds like a much better video game and worthy of my time. I'd go play Demon's School right now. That sounds more interesting to me than wasting my time away with a multiplayer that isn't fulfilling and a campaign that I think would actually be better if it weren't even there. At least I would feel less insulted. Just very, very, very sad. While we're on the topic though, Microsoft hasn't screwed up everything this year. Go play Ninja Gaiden 4. That game's a banger. I recommend that game. Keeper, that's a good game. Microsoft still did good things. Doesn't really matter. Go play some other stuff. If you have Game Pass, I wouldn't even download this Call of Duty. Just go play a better game. They've got some bangers down there. And that is, at the end of the day, the point, right? Enjoy what you have. We're coming up on the holidays. Have some fun, laugh, be happy, enjoy some great video games. Not Call of Duty though. Not this year. I'm sorry. In any case, I've been Mug, and thank you so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and maybe it's worth a subscription. A very extra special thanks to the members of The Wall, be they patrons on Patreon or members on YouTube, who directly support what I do here and end up here on The Wall at the end of every video. Thank you so much for your support. I have to go play good video games for a while to cleanse my palate, so as always, I'll see you again very soon.